Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining me today. So this weekend we passed through the 3-3 portal on Sunday, and I don't always pay attention to the numerological portal dates. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, and I think part of it's just an attitude that I have about like time and calendars and stuff like that. But this weekend was a reminder to me of like, oh my God, pay attention because I feel like, it's like I was one person on Saturday, and then by the end of Sunday, which was the third where I'm at in New Mexico, I felt like I've like jumped timelines. I'm on a completely different timeline, and I really feel this is a collective energy. So I've mentioned this before in readings. I don't have much of a personal relationship to the Schumann resonance like I do to the solar energies. The solar energies, I feel them. I know when something's coming in. I know how they affect my body. I know what it means. I know the difference between the solar wind and a flare and the solar storm and all that, just because I've been tracking it for so long. But the Schumann resonance never really made itself apparent to me in terms of there's just not much of a relationship. Like I'm not like, oh, okay, I know that this is the earth, this is the Schumann resonance. I guess I'm just more like upward oriented, it's hard for me to ground. But anyway, what I know about it, I've learned from other people that are connected to it in that way and then can track it. But so what I learned is that anything above 40 hertz which is pretty far above like what its baseline is. I forget what the baseline is, 9.86 or something like that. You probably know, you might know, some of you know, but anyways, so anything above 40 is, high frequency, so 5D and above frequency. And so apparently on Sunday we were at 100 hertz for 6 hours with spikes into 4,000 hertz. So that's like just huge energy coming in. But what's really interesting to me is, this can often happen. It's like if there's a big wave of energy coming in, right? It's like well, for one, it pushes things out. Of course, we talk about this all the time with the solar energy, the cosmic energies coming in. They push things out to make room so we can receive these higher frequencies. But what happened for me personally was on Saturday, I had this huge catalyst that really triggered me, brought up a whole bunch of PTSD, and that's been happening a lot for me. So the other thing is that like I felt a huge frequency jump around the 11th of February. And then I learned later that the 10th of February is when we supposedly moved out of Kali Yuga, out of the Dark Ages, according to yoga science. And so moving out of Kali Yuga. And so like every day, we're getting further and further out of the darkest, the darkest epoch, right? And so that was really interesting. So definitely, tuned into a frequency change on the planet, which is pushing things out for us, which is creating this quickening, because these energies, it's like that denser energy that's this is kind of a recap from my last few readings, but that denser energy that's been deactivated but still hanging around in our bodies needs, it's like these higher frequencies, like that stuff is falling off. But in order for things to fall off, they have to be kind of like triggered and purged, right? So for a lot of us, we're having a lot of like core wounding or inner child stuff coming up because it's leaving, right? So just these purges, but a lot of catalysts, a lot of triggers. And then, so this is coming up in the last reading, just reminding yourself like, okay, this is how I anchor the higher. I want this all to go. This isn't, going backwards. This is a revisiting to leave. So I had a really huge one on Saturday, and then, slept really well and just did a lot of processing in my dreams and stuff like that. And so Sunday, it's like I just was viewing through a different lens. It's like all of a sudden I knew how to maneuver differently in my life. I knew, it's like I'm in a different, it's like a timeline jump, okay? And I think a lot of us are feeling that way. I was seeing the next day a lot of people talking about that they had an experience of being, it's almost like, you're uprooted, you're taken out of your pot, and then all your roots are exposed, and you're like, oh my God, and then all of a sudden you're in your new pot, and you can grow better because you have more room and it's a better environment, and all of a sudden you have a new vantage point. You know exactly what to do and what not to do, and what not to bother with and what to let go of and how to rearrange. And so that's what I really felt from this 3-3 energy, so oh my gosh. And 33 is a number. It's a number of moving on, being in the right place, of movement, of guidance, but it's also a number of activation, number of activation. So with all the higher frequency energy coming in, it's like, almost like, like the clearing, the like repotting, and then, all the information of how to move forward. So really stabilizing more deeply in these energies. What's also interesting is I do energy work. So I had 3 sessions last week, and there was a theme amongst them, and it's a new theme. So I can kind of track the collective energy through what comes up. If something, so, some people, they just, they have their own stuff going on. But when I see it over and over again in 1 week, it's like, okay, this is related to the energy. And so what it was really interesting. A lot of the times, like years ago, it would be like the energy would clear. There'd be a block to the chakra itself, the energy center where, stuff would clear out, and then stuff would reorganize around that. But then it started becoming it wasn't just clearing the chakras anymore. The chakras would be open, but it was like clearing what was in the way of the energy centers and that soul blueprint, that soul mission, that higher path, and getting those hooked up. Because it's like we can have our chakras open and function in the world and function in 3D reality and be able to express and be able to create and all that. But it's like, can we express and create from that higher level? So that's what it's been the last year or two in the sessions. But now this theme that I'm seeing is, it's not that there's a block between the energy centers and the higher purpose and the higher self. It was that there was like a cloud or like a cover, but it wasn't something to clear. It had a wisdom to it. And it reminded me so much of the energy of when you're pregnant, when a woman is pregnant, and she doesn't have much creative energy, and she doesn't have much energy in general, because all of her creative energy is going towards building another human being, So it was kind of like that. One of the people I was working with, she said, "Oh, well, it makes sense that the energy would be needed close to the body right now, because what it felt like to me in all 3 of those instances was a restructuring, on the etheric level. So, words are used differently. Some people might call the astral level the etheric level, but for me, I understand the etheric level as being very close to the body. So just like the etheric level of plants, the elemental realm, it's like the elemental realm of the body. So that's where a lot of what I was feeling was happening, where it was close to the body. It was like this reorganization, this rearranging. What's interesting is, I hope this is translating. It might just be boring, but it is symbolic of what's going on. So a lot of the times, when there's something that clears from the energy centers, that which has been waiting in the auric field, can come in and integrate, and there's a rebalancing of the polarities and all that. And that's just kind of how it works. You clear, you receive more, the energy moves around to stabilize it. Okay, but now that's happening within our bodies, or at least within these 3 sessions. I'm feeling that this is something that's going on where, it's happening to stabilize these higher energies. So the body is reconfiguring around it to be like a steady receptacle where we can really anchor and live from these energies. Okay. But what's interesting is there weren't many clearings in any of those sessions. It was more about just kind of witnessing and holding space and, witnessing and facilitating that restructuring of the physical body to hold these higher energies. So I'm not sure if I got that out right, but I think that I did. So it being a collective movement within our bodies now, just like on a smaller level, because it's fractals of the same energy. So on a smaller fractal level, when we clear something, we receive more, and our body reconfigures to be able to stabilize what we just cleared and received. It's happening on a very large level collectively, because we're having such an influx of this higher frequency energy. So okay, so that was what was up last week, and then that seems to be what was going on Sunday, New Mexico time, with this 3-3 portal. So I'm going to move into the cards. That was 8 minutes. That's okay. And see, let's get an overall energy for what else wants to be said about these energies right now. Okay, overall energy. Oh, that's really cool. Okay, so first of all, it's a 5 card, which is change. Okay, so there's that change again, but it's Rhino spirit, so overcome any obstacles. So it's kind of like that, where it's like, hey, honeys, it's time. Like these energies are coming in, and it is our, soul agreement and mission to anchor them and to bring them through. And so whatever is lodged in you, here's this, asshole in your life is gonna run through and push it out for you, or whatever it is, however it manifests in your hologram. It might be through a trial that's not very comfortable, but that it's all in service. It's all in service of removing those obstacles. So, kind of maybe some hard hitters right now when the energies are really strong. It's like if there's stuff that's calcified that needs to go, and especially for a lot of us that took on that, part of our soul mission was to go into denser energies and darker energies to transmute. It's like the typical empath narcissist relationship where, you go into a lot of darkness to have that light, and because of that you get a lot of PTSD, you get a lot of trauma, you get a lot of that stuff, and it can become calcified while you're trying to survive and awaken. And it's like now's the time where it's just ready to go, right? So it's really relentlessly being pushed out, but it can only be pushed out in phases. It'll go at a rate that you can handle, but it's going to keep going until it comes in these waves, these energy waves. And I guess these spikes in the Schumann resonance are going to keep going to support us, because this is a collective movement with the earth and with humanity and with the animals and with all of us. So it's like it's imperative that we do this. This is evolution, evolve or repeat, right? There's no repeat. It's like everything is supporting us, because we all want the same thing, the soul of the earth, the soul of the animals, the soul of humanity. We all want this unification. We want to remember, we want to awaken, we want to break through. Our souls have said yes to this, so that's what's happening. Okay, so let me see what the tarot wants to say. What else the tarot wants to say about that? All right. So, Four of Air. So we got this card twice in the last reading. So still about healing, and again, that reminder of like, if you're having some tough hitters, some, hammers, hammer experience, just that reminder of like, it's for the sake of healing. It's for the sake of healing and holding and coming home to yourself. And also that reminder, like last time, I'm sure it'll go in a different direction, but for now, kind of a repeat, like she's holding herself, just kind of like, wow, that was rough, and it reminded me of before when it was even rougher, but I have myself this time, like that reparenting, again, that inner wound healing where you're like, I understand now, and I see you, and I'm here for you, and you're doing so great, doing that for ourselves, that reminder. The reparenting. Okay, oh my gosh. Okay, so this card came up last time too, the death and rebirth card, all at the same time. So there's just that reminder again, that reminder of what this is all about. You can feel like you're dying. Parts of you are dying, the parts that need to leave. I think it can be kind of heavy for some of us right now, again, especially if you've had a lot of trauma, if you've interfaced with a lot of darkness, because the darkness it's leaving in the world, it's leaving in our lives, it's also leaving from our bodies, from our cellular memory. And it's got to get triggered to do that. So, oh my gosh. Okay, so the death card again. So this is the exact same card we got in that last reading. So a double death card. This is making me feel this is definitely a collective energy where there's just a lot of, some dark nights of the soul, some moving through some territory, but kind of relentless. And I feel like this really feels to me, this energy of like our souls want this, like we've chosen this. So it's like we're riding, again, just like last time, we're riding the dead horse, we're riding our death through. We've conquered it. We say yes to it. We're holding ourselves. We're reparenting ourselves. We're doing this. We're doing this because we want this. But the double death card, it's like, yeah, obviously a lot of intensity, a lot of transformation right now. Okay, so actually I'm gonna do, hi Boudica. Her energy's she's really with us right now. It's really cute. Okay, so I'm going to do an oracle card. This is the Illuminated Earth Oracle. This is the one with the beautiful blue and the beautiful covers. I just love this new deck. Okay, cards are coming out really slow and deliberate. Earth. Okay, so Earth. Well, that's interesting. This always kind of reminds me of like a brain too, for some reason, even though I think it's coral. It reminds me of like a mushroom. Oh yeah, I guess it's kind of like a mushroom, but it's like that connectedness. That's what I'm feeling from this. Okay, so that's what I was saying, like the earth, we're all saying yes to this. The animals, oh, and then here's Boudica, who's just kind of like, yeah, I'm feeling this too. Like this is some energy, it's like the whole earth, we're going together, the mycelium, the underground network, the roots, it's like everything is connected. I I feel like this is another message that's validating that, like, yeah, we're all doing this. We're all going through some sort of a rebirth right now. For some of us, it can be really intense and heavy, but just that reminder of, like, this is a whole earth movement, the animals, the, everything, and yeah. And I was going to say off earth as well, even though this is an earth card, because, we are all connected. It's that oneness principle. But again, and so the fractals, again, the connection within our minds, the one mind, the connection within the mushrooms and the mycelium and the network underneath, and just, the connection. Okay, so we're all doing this together. The earth is rising in frequency, and all of us going through this rebirth, this death and rebirth together for the new earth, for the new formation. That's really beautiful. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go back into the tarot. Oh, okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So, let's see what we get here. Oh, okay. Okay, yeah. So we get the Eight of Wands, which is kind of like a lot of fast-moving energy. So that would be, like all that hertz, the like high frequency spikes up to the 4,000 hertz, all that higher dimensional energy coming in. The solar energy has been pretty quiet. We did have some solar storming, but we haven't had any flares. But often what Pat Donworth will say is, like, in between the flares is when all the unmeasurables come, and that's when we're downloading. So I feel like that's what this is. It comes out with the High Priestess, which again, it's that higher frequency energy. A lot of clarity, especially with this 3/3 portal. After, if you did go through, like me, if you went through sort of a catalyst moment, which can also be this, and also this as well, where it's like we're going the whole way through. We don't. The higher selves are like, I don't care if you cry. Like, this is what you want. So, we're doing this. We're not letting you stay stuck. We're gonna put that arrow right through you. We're gonna put it right through you, and shock you back into a deeper level, because this is what we're all doing. This is evolution, and we're going. And so anyway, and just that higher energy that and this came up in the last one too, and it kind of came up in the sense of, like, we know what's going on, and we do have that higher intel, that one mind battle. What's interesting is that it comes out with the King of Swords. And so the King of Swords came up in the last reading as well, but he came up in a different deck, and he kind of presented as that protector energy, that earthy, kind of like a loving, divine masculine energy that's just kind of like, I got you, I'm here for you, this kind of thing. In this deck, he represents the distorted masculine for me. He just always does every time I get this card. Like, he's kind of heady, he wants to be in control. And so the fact that this is coming out between these two cards around this death and rebirth energy, it's like there's a lot of this higher frequency energy, and it can kind of jack with our minds. Like, we can kind of go into some of that distortion, and yet there's a wisdom to that as well. There's a wisdom, because when we go into this stuff, it's also how we dislodge it and how we clear it and we move it. But yeah, you might find, and I've heard other people talking about this too, like just having a rough time, like just being back in some of your old patterns and playing out some of the old mindsets where, but it's like they're coming up because, again, we're moving through and we are coming onto our higher timelines, because the higher frequency is here, and our bodies, again, are restructuring to hold this and to anchor it and to bring it forward. But part of that is stuff coming up to be cleared. So it's like that thing, I posted something on Facebook today. Facebook is such an oracle for me. Like, whatever I find, or I'll even look on my memories from other years, and I'm like, oh, that I can see like a theme, like every year around like a certain energy. And today, I think it was today, or was it yesterday, it was about I completely lost my train of thought. It's so crazy. I think it was that horn. I don't know. I completely lost my train of thought. What was that post about that I was going to say? Oh my gosh. Oh, it was like when you're coming into your power, like nobody knows, nobody tells you that when you come into your power, every little false belief that tells you you're not enough or tells you that you should be, whatever, blah, 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 is going to come up to have to be confronted. So that was coming up last week too, with a reading where it was like the ghost of Christmas past, where the nightmares that kind of parade through for you, again, that reparenting, where you're like, yeah, but I don't believe that anymore. Like, thank you for coming and showing yourself, and now I'm gonna like tap you on the head and release you. It's like I I'm not going to align with you. This isn't the reality that I'm consenting to creating. I'm not feeding my energy into this timeline anymore, where, and it's easy not to, because this is a higher frequency time where we have really locked on, and our bodies are locking on. And so it's really the perfect timing to revisit the darkest of stuff. Whereas before, if it would have come up before these energies were super high, before these frequencies were really, really assisting us, we could have just gotten swallowed in them. So there were like certain things that just kind of needed to stay hidden. This is also a card. Are you coming up? I don't think there's room, Boodles. A card of secrets and mystery. It's like some things, it's like the mysteries, the sacred feminine wisdom. It had to go underground. It had to go underground like the mycelium. It had to stay hidden until the proper time where it could arise, because it would be, it would be killed. We'd be killed. It would be burned. It would be, whatever. But now it's kind of similar. It's like if these kind of patterns would have arisen before, it could have really just set us back. It wasn't the right time. Like there were just some things that needed to stay hidden until there was enough support. We had evolved enough emotionally and mentally and spiritually, and in our vibration and in our frequency, to be able to hold space for some of this stuff. And so now, with the help of all these frequencies coming in, we're able to do that. But it's really coming in, it's really, really coming in. So that's what this card is kind of showing to me. It's like, it's just bringing that stuff up, but we're able to handle it. We're able to reparent. We're able to move through. We're able to see that darkness through our higher consciousness and dissolve it, dissolve it. And this was coming up last time too, that, it's not like we're just like clearing and getting rid of, our density or our darkness or our ego. No, we're embracing it. It's collapsing back into the oneness, into the oneness. It's also becoming compost for, compost for the, for our trees, for our soil, for that which we're now growing. We're allowing it, we're embracing it. We don't have to keep it locked away in that hidden corner anymore. It can come out and it can be embraced. It can be embraced, and it can be transformed. So again, that double message of transformation, where the darker energies, the pain, the trauma, the PTSD is transformed into soul. It's all transformed back into soul, where we can use it. It's transformed back into wisdom, where we can use it and bring it forward. Here again, the arrow. Pulling back the arrow, and then taking everything that we find in those dark places that we chose to take on. We went back. We pulled our light the whole way back in there. We gathered as much as we can, and now we transmute it all. We transmute it the whole way through the line, through the collective, through our lineage, through humanity, through our Akash. We reclaim it. We bring it all back in where it can be of use, That's beautiful. Okay, so I'm going to do another, I don't think I used this deck yet. I feel like I'm talking really fast today. It's been a while since I've had super fast talking, reading. All right, we get quite a few cards here. Let me see if they can all speak to me at once. Yes, they can. Okay, so this is actually 6 cards, which is interesting because 6 always translates to me as a number of the earth, like anchoring on the earth. So we get the Queen of Cups and the 10 of Cups. So there's our water. And the 10 of Cups is that higher timeline. This is what, what we're going into. This is what our arrow is bringing forth, the happy, this card kind of actually reminds me of a 10 of Pentacles in other decks, because it's the happy family and the children, and you have the rainbow and you have your house, you're in the garden, and here is the Queen of Cups. It's like, she kind of holds the vision. She's been coming up lately as the one that, just she kind of sees behind, she's the intuitive realm. So she bridges, in a sense. She is this rainbow bridge. She's bridging from kind of where we're at right now, clearing some of this energy over to this. This is the motion that we're going. Okay, and this is the Ace of Pentacles. This is the new path. So again, this is the new path. This is the new earth. This is the new timeline that we're starting to anchor and move into and solidify more and more, again, like our bodies solidifying, stabilizing in this energy, integrating, rebalancing so that it can hold this frequency in it, and then we can live from this. Okay, so this is the new path that's earned. Okay, yeah, and it's it's rising up. It's right, there's a hand holding this pentacle that's rising up out of the earth. It's like it's the seed. It's the seed that's planted. We used our darkness. The dark experiences. I forgot to turn notifications off again, but that we've planted in the earth, it's rising up. That seed is rising up. The soil's been composted. It has what it needs. It has everything that it needs to step onto this new path. Okay, so there's the new path. It's coming out with the Prince of Swords, which is actually the Knight of Swords. Okay, so this is a fast moving card. It's really, really fast. It's like, kind of rushing forth. It can go a bit in this reading right now with the Eight of Wands, fast moving energy. Okay, so there's a lot coming through quickly. It's coming out with the Lovers, so I'm reading it. Sometimes this card can be impulsive and it can be like you're acting out of conditioning. No, this is about the higher energy, the Lovers, the card of unity. I really like this card in this deck. I think it's so interesting because here's like the higher energy, and then here's our polarity of our masculine and our feminine here together. They're down here and they're together, and like he's burning, he's on fire, so he's doing that transmutation. He's going through and he's clearing all of the false programs. He's clearing all the density within his body that's ready to go. And the divine feminine being like the Queen of Cups, our intuition that's just waiting. It's just been waiting for the right time, like I was saying before, waiting for that right time. Oh my God, I'm having deja vu. Wow, that's really cool. So that's, when that happens, it's like, okay, I'm really on something. Waiting for that right time where this kind of stuff can come up and be transmuted for good. Okay, so here she is. She's been waiting. She's been waiting for that right time. Waiting, holding space for eons, all throughout. Our intuition, our feminine wisdom, all through the Dark Ages, all through the Kali Yuga. Some part of us had that seed of remembrance. That seed in the earth. That is still connected with that oneness, no matter how much it was covered up, no matter how much it was distorted. It's like we have that codex within us, just waiting for that right time, waiting. Okay, this also, is like the divine time. The divine time is now. The divine time is now. We're out of Kali Yuga. We're having all this higher energy coming in. It's like one after another. If it's not the solar flares, it's the Schumann resonance, or it's the unmeasurables, or it's, this unstoppable. It's unstoppable. It's going through any obstacle. Nothing is stopping us. Nothing is stopping this. It's fast. It's moving fast now. And it's time, okay? It's time. Whew, chills. But yeah, coming out with the Lovers, that's the unification of the polarities, coming together, collapsing everything back into wholeness. Okay, comes out with a Five of Wands. That's what's collapsing. This is a card of conflict. These are the elements, but they're not working together. They're all one wants one thing, another wants another thing, and they're arguing and they can't get it together. And this is the PTSD. This is the trauma. This is like when you just fracture, and you can't come into that unity. You can't be kind. You can't listen. You can't hear. You can't receive. You can't, or another can't for you, right? That might be the actual issue. But yeah, and so this is the discord, this is the fragment, so this is what's coming up to be unified, so really, really beautiful. Okay, so that message there with the new path, the new higher path, coming in quickly, because it's time, the fire, recapping, the fire, the burning away of that which can no longer hold in these higher energies, and our intuition that's been waiting, and the time is now. So that just feels really powerful, and that this is what we're clearing. This is what we've been living in. This is what it's not just clearing, we're transmuting it, we're composting it, we're bringing it back into wholeness. We're going from this type of fighting, fragmentation, back into unity, where everything makes sense, everything has its place. But again, because this card of unity is showing, it's kind of, again, that 3-3 energy where it's an activation. There's an activation, there's a process. This is an activation card here as well, and of course this is too, because if you're charging forward, you're pushing through stuff. Stuff is moving. That's catalytic energy. And then of course the higher energies coming through. These higher energies, all this representing all higher energies too, are activating as well. They're pushing all that out. So that's beautiful. Okay, I'm going to do, where am I at? 28 minutes. I'm going to do the Goddess of the Moon Oracle. My kitty's just sitting there. She's looking out the window. She's just, hi. I love her presence right now. Okay. All All right, so Oracle card, what else wants to be said about this? Oh, realization. Okay. Oh, and it's a 3 card, so there's the 3 realization. Yeah, it's like a keyhole's been open, right? So that's the thing. Like when we go through the death and rebirth, like we have here twice, a big death, moving through big obstacles. It's like it's almost like raven medicine. Raven Raven or crow. I had a dream about crow the other night, and it was very specific to me. It was like it's a crow, not a raven. So crow is cosmic law. Crow is cosmic law, and there, it's like you start to see outside of like what we're conditioned to believe. The 5 senses and everything that like has been like defined for us. This is how it is, even though like what's been shown to us is completely inaccurate. History is inaccurate. Science is inaccurate. It's like the hijack of the small world. Meanwhile, there's so much. There's so much the cosmic law. Okay, but the raven energy is like you've achieved enough. You've done enough of this work. You've done enough of this kind of like collapsing back into unity. You've done enough of this fire that you have access to more magic. You have access. You're able to jump at a level of consciousness. So you raise in frequency because you clear. And then you're able to receive more. Your body reconfigures and readjusts and rebalances so that you can anchor and hold that energy and live from it. And then because of that, you can see through this keyhole and a whole new world opens up. So it's kind of like what I was saying on Sunday. It's like all of a sudden I was just like I had jumped a timeline. It's like I could see. It's like I was given the key to the lock, and all of a sudden I could see what I needed to do differently. I could see what I was blocked about. I could see certain patterns that were running in me that I just couldn't see before, but it's like the obstacles, they were bulldozed down, there was conflict where I could see them. And now all of a sudden, it's kind of like a 6 of air energy where you just know what to do. You can see 360. You're granted more access to more of the cosmic truth, So, okay, I'm going to do Angels of Atlantis. This might be wrapping up. We are at 30 minutes. I kind of feel like I'm just getting started, but we'll see what it does. The lighting. There we go. We'll see if it starts saying something different or if it's a repeat message. Then I'll close. I love the way the cards are coming out. Transmutation. Okay, so yeah. It is repeating. So there that is again, the transmutation, just everything that we talked about. So I'm going to do one closing message. There are 2 decks that I didn't pull from, so I'll go ahead and get 1 card from each of those. Expansion, very much so, expansion. So that goes with this card where, it's like with all that's transmuting, we're allowed access to more, so we're expanding into a broader bandwidth, into less dense, higher frequencies where we're able to receive more information. We're able to receive more of this. It's time. We're allowed. We've earned it. If you can't have access to the secrets if you haven't earned it, if you don't have a stable foundation for it, if you don't have balance of the polarities and you don't know how to use it, you're going to miss it, first of all. I mean, that's the main thing. It's not like you're going to be given it and misuse it. It's like you're not going to understand it. You're not going to be able to receive it. You're not going to have the foundation to receive it. So I think that's what's really beautiful about what's coming up with these sessions as well, these energy sessions where the body is literally, on its own, not just as a result of energy that's moving in a session or in the fractal of our personal effort. It's like a collective thing where humanity, a lot of us that have, done a lot of this, taken on a lot of this type of stuff and done a lot of this and been working at it for a long time. It's like we're being allowed access to the new level. Our bodies are adjusting, we're anchoring, and we're expanding. So we're going to be receiving more. We're going to have more of our higher selves, more of our Akashic or parallel lives, or more of that coming through. We're going to have access. This hasn't come up. This used to come up a lot in readings where it was like tuning in, because there was a lot like through our intuition that was coming on, these dormant codes that we're activating, I feel like we might be, maybe next week that'll start coming up, but I feel like we're starting to go into a little bit of that message where now that we're expanding into a new horizon, we're going to be able to receive more of ourselves, more messages coming through. So I have one last deck. I'm going to see if there's anything else about that, and if not, then I'll just close with this last message. But yeah, my feeling is that there is like a new frontier, new discovery, expansion, things that we weren't able to access before, we're going to be able to now. So that's a beautiful parting message. But what? Okay. Oh, okay. Okay. So, Azume, I don't know who she is. I think maybe she's a Buddhist goddess. I'm not sure. I don't know. Probably some of you know. The card comes out as humor, but the way I always view this card is like ecstatic joy. And so this was around the time that I did an Aquarian reading, and that's when I first saw. I used to do astrological readings because I was just living in the desert full time because I was helping my daughter with something, and I had a ton of free time. So I wanted to read a lot because it was fun for me, but I couldn't just read collective energies every day. So I was doing astrological readings. I'm not doing them anymore because I don't have time, but I did leave them up. But there's an Aquarius reading that was really quite profound, but this card came up in it, and the way it came up for me, and I always see it this way again when I see it, is again that message of like those of you who have really again put in that work and been those warriors of light in the darkest of places, right? That kind of like divine feminine energy, that where you've seen the truth all along, and you've had to kind of like just grin and bear it until the timing was right, but you held on to that truth, you held on to that light, you held on to that vision amidst like all kinds of crazy, dark, insane, narcissistic situations, right? You've held on to it. Those of you that have really done a lot and have transmuted a lot, it's like there's a reward. This is what it is to me, like where there's a reward card. So it's so interesting. It came out right after these two cards of expansion and seeing beyond and accessing more, because it's like it's this message of those of you that are gaining access to this broader view are going to be so amazed at what you see. It's like what is coming for us is going to make us so happy. And it's like, look at how lit up our crown chakra is. It's like you have access to so much more than you ever did before. You have access to your psychic gifts. You have access to instant manifestation. You have access to being in alignment with the truth of your soul, and therefore your hologram starts to match you, right? So, it's this 10 of Cups, this new path, this 10 of Cups energy, where it is that higher timeline. But it's just a beautiful ending message of like it's beyond what we could have fathomed. Everything that we've dreamed of, everything, our dream machine, it's like that and more, where it's like, oh my gosh, I'm receiving this. So I love that message right at the end of this reading. Again, that expansion, that wider view, and that being absolutely delighted at what we start to see and experience on the other side of this. And the fact that it's coming out at the end of this reading, because in the beginning it's like, it was kind of some of the same energies as last week with the healing and the reparenting and the death and the rebirth, and but yeah, moving into more of, by the end of this reading, a stabilization, like I was talking about in the collective energies. I really do feel we're stabilizing. We're going to start to see more of what's on the other side of this. So thank you so much for listening if you've made it this far, and I'll see you next week if I do. Okay.